Hey everyone, in this video, we are giving you guys our team of the season for Super Rugby Pacific. Of course, we do have the Kiwi lads to my right here. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you, mate. How about yourself?
All good, all good. Again, very, I guess, not disappointed, but just a bit kind of like relieved that the Super Rugby season is now over. Of course, Hitters are the champions as they did just beat the Chiefs. But yeah, no, we'll have to wait for a long time until the Super Rugby season comes up again. But again, in this video, guys, we will be giving you guys our team this season throughout all the teams really who played, pretty much throughout the whole season. But we are taking into account that the playoffs do matter or more important, you could say, throughout this selection. So just keep that in mind when we make these decisions. But yeah, let's go straight into this. So for the front row, who have you decided to go with?
Well, front row, more specifically props, I'm normally not the greatest. I know I talked about it a little bit before, how normally when the scrum's taking place, I'm normally reading the chat. But for me here, I went with Tamaiti Williams, number one. I feel like he's had a very solid season. Okay. One of the All Blacks bolters as well, getting himself the chance. And I think he could be very handy for those ABs when it does come around. Definitely with all of the injuries, it was almost like a last man standing scenario for the Crusaders as well, with Moody and Bauer both ending up with those injuries. I've gone with Cody Taylor, number two. Managed to bring himself up 10 tries throughout that Super Rugby Pacific season. Incredible. And it was just that rolling maul was working smoothly. His line-out throws were accurate. Did help them a lot get onto that front foot. And then for three, I've actually gone with Tyrell Lomax. Now, I went with him because the Hurricanes, they have one of the stronger percentages when it comes to scrums throughout Super Rugby Pacific, although that could also be due to Owen Franks coming off the bench. But Lomax, I feel like his running game is very handy. We didn't get to see him use it as much as he did last year, but I still feel he had a pretty solid season at tight head prop.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I like the selection a lot. In terms of my number one, I've actually gone with James Slipper from the Brumbies. I just think he's been impressive throughout the whole season for the Brumbies. Again, has really stepped up in terms of his scrum percentage. I think it's one of the highest in terms of out of all the teams there is. So he's definitely been a big part to play in that sense. Similar to you, I have gone with the likes of Cody Taylor. I think there was really no other person you can go with after that final. And again, I think Samatoni Takalaho was probably the next in line, you could probably say, in terms of maybe the next person you may choose. But I think Cody Taylor just edges it over what he did within this playoff run, really. But in terms of the tight end one, this is where I've actually gone with Tamaiti Williams because he's actually played a lot. I think he's played more in this position than the loose head. But again, he's really just transferable and very versatile in the sense where he can play either two. But yeah, like you said, he's just been brilliant throughout the year. A bolter, instead of least, and obviously made his opportunity to go into the All Blacks. So yeah, I had to go with him this year in terms of the props. But yeah, moving on then towards the locking positions. I'll go first with this one. I've gone with, I guess, the simple kind of locking duo, to say the least. I've gone with Brody Retallick because I think he's had an outstanding season for the Chiefs, and I've gone with Scott Barrett for the Crusaders. I think those two are just, in my eye, been the most dominant two in terms of consistency. Like, I don't think any of the two have had outrageous injuries this year. Because normally, like, one of those two normally kind of step up a bit in terms of form. But I'm being honest here. I think both of them have been pretty good, I'd say, throughout the whole year. You can maybe argue that Scott Barrett and a lot of these Crusaders players weren't at their best, can say, from the opening stages of opening rounds of this season. But I think over time he's kind of grown into becoming more consistent. So yeah, those are the two I've gone with for this locking pair.
Righty, so I have one of those two. On my number four, I did go with Brody Retallick. Big Brody, he's had a phenomenal year for his Super Rugby. He has been able to get a couple tries as well, which is quite interesting for the big man, but he's always in the right place, and I think that is because of the gas tank that he does have, that he just pops up right place, right time. I actually, for my number five, I know that you mentioned it before, the video that we are allowed to play players slightly out of position if we feel that some of them have gone slightly better. So I've actually got Nick Frost as my number five.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Mainly because, the Brumbies, their line-out has been very successful throughout this season. And Lonergan probably another honourable mention when it comes to the hookers. But I feel like Nick Frost, very solid day at the office anytime he's out on the park. And then, also handy enough with ball in hand too.
Of course. Yeah, that try against the Hurricanes was like incredible where he ran the distance. But let me know, obviously, what's your loose forwards then for this team this season?
Right, number 6, I was a little bit struggling, just a tad, because there's been a few sixes who have had, I think people would call it decent Super Rugby Pacific seasons. Some of the guys have been playing different positions in that loose forward trio as well. But for me, I went with another man who made his way into the All Blacks squad, and that is Sama Penifeño for the Chiefs. I feel like what the big man has done throughout this year with his running game, with just bumping off defenders like it's going out of fashion, he had to be somewhere in my loose forward trio, and he does specialise at 6. So I decided that would be the way to go. Number 7, I actually went with Fraser McWright. Now, I was jockeying between him or Tom Christie. It's a little bit of an out there pick, definitely because
Sam
the
Cane.
Reds.
Not even Sam Cane in the conversation.
I really wanted to give it to Sam Cane, but I knew that you possibly would. So I decided I would go with Fraser McWright. Did I assume wrong? I might have, but I went with Fraser McWright mainly because he's made 217 tackles. He's had a lot of turnovers. And when you think about the fact that Sam Cane has had 2 extra games to get his stats up, and he still doesn't quite have those stats that Fraser McWright has, I mean, I feel like that whole Reds loose forward trio in a way was just working beautifully, mainly the number 7 and 8 with McWright and Wilson, which is why he's my number 8 out of all the number 8s in the competition. And once again, you could have maybe gone with Jacobson as that number 8 option rather than Harry Wilson, but just some of the runs that man has had, like the fact that he is a number 8 and he's had, I think it's like the maybe 7th most running meters in the competition with over 1,200. Like the big man gets moving, and then when he's going, he's very hard to stop. Got some great offloads throughout the season as well, so that's why I went with him as my number 8.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I mean, in terms of my loose forward pack, it's somewhat similar. I mean, we definitely have the same player in terms of 6 with Finau. I mean, he's been impressive throughout the whole season. And again, it was very difficult, like you said, to go for number 6 here because not all of them have stood out, but he's been probably the most consistent one, I'd say, out of the bunch. So I think he definitely deserves the selection there. In terms of number 7, you did mention him, but I have gone with the likes of Tom Christie in this position. Again, I just think that I have to reward him for how well he's played throughout the year. I mean, he's normally someone who really dips in form and then comes back in form. And this year, I think it's the first time I've seen in a while where he's just been very consistent. His tackling's been off the charts. I'm not going to say it's been – I think Fraser McWright is still the best tackler, if I'm saying, in the competition. I think I'm making the most tackles, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Christie's overtaken him due to the final that just took place.
Well, there you
go.
I
think he beat him by 2.
But again, that shows you with the amount of games still that Fraser McWright was still unbelievable for the regular season. But yeah, I think Tom Christie, just in my eyes, deserves that 7 jersey just because of what he did in the playoffs. But then yeah, for number 8, this is where I actually have gone with Luke Jacobson. Again, I just think Luke Jacobson has had a great year. Obviously, made the All Blacks this year as well, and yeah, just is really kind of solidified himself really as the number 8 for the future, maybe for the Chiefs. And with Peter Gus, obviously leaving, that kind of leaves him a bit more minutes maybe for the future as well. So, yeah, I think he's my number 8 for this team this season. But, yeah, in terms of the back line, of course, I'll start off here with a 9-10 combination. I think this is where the 9, I think there has to be one 9 you have to choose because he's been the best 9, I'd say, throughout this year. And I think it's Cameron Roigard. I think he's the one which he's been sensational. He scored 9 tries this year, which is ridiculous to say the least. And he's another bolter. May I add, obviously now joining the All Blacks as well. But yeah, in terms of number 10, this is probably the most difficult selection because in my eyes, I couldn't have McKenzie and Rich Monga in the same team. I know that sounds really bad, guys, but I can only have one of them because I think it's deserving to have either one of them. And look, I know that's kind of an easy one to say, but it came down towards the final, guys. And I think Monga really stepped it up in that final against McKenzie. I mean, both of them played well, but I think obviously Monga got the edge over him. So that's the reason why I've gone Monga at my number 10. But what about you? What did you decide in terms of 9-10?
So number 9, I went Cam Roigard as well. He's been very good for the Hurricanes. And yeah, it was very hard to deny him a chance at that All Black squad with the way that he's been playing. And I do like the fact that they actually selected a few guys based off form rather than just based off previous.
They don't really do that often, yeah.
No. Are the tides turning? Maybe. Got to wait another year or so, I think. Find out. But number 10, I actually have done the same thing as you. I've gone Richie Mo'unga. For me, it was that battle of McKenzie or Mo'unga. But
I like it.
once again, thinking about the final, who handled that pressure better? We saw Moonga get himself a few more tries throughout the season.
Yeah.
Then McKenzie, maybe. I could be wrong
I
with
think
that.
so.
At least
I think he
scoring more
just
throughout the
tipped it.
back end of the comp. But yeah, went with Richie. He was a lot of people's first pick fly half for the ABs. I'm just interested to know if it does end up going through to international level, because I know that is a part of Moonga's game that in the past has been questioned a little bit, whether or not he can back it up in that all black jersey. But yeah, 19 combo, identical. Surprising. We normally, the last, we've had a couple similar.
Yeah, we
We're
have
about
similar
3,
players.
right?
I think I chose James Slipper. You went with Tyler Lomax. That's one difference. You went with Nick Frost. That's one difference there. And then who do you go with number 8 again? You went with
I went with Harry Wilson.
Harry Wilson. So yeah, that's the other. And then you also went with Fraser McWright. So yeah, there's 4 differences actually. So anyway, we're not going to the centers guys here. So I believe you can go first this one. So what do you think in terms of the centers?
Right. So my center combo is one that I don't think many people will pick. And this is when I find out that you've already picked it. But
I feel like I picked it. As soon as you say it, I think I've picked it.
Okay. Is one of them not involved in a top 8 side?
Oh. Okay. I know what you've done. No, I haven't picked that guy. He was the other guy who was in the select, but no. So I haven't done the same thing as you, but I know exactly who you've gone for.
Okay, so for me, number 12, I have gone Levi Amor for Moana Pacifica. I think the big thing for him is in a side that has struggled a little bit throughout the season. The weird thing is they haven't really struggled to score points on the board. It's just they've struggled more to stop the opposition from scoring more than them. So, he's had 71 defenders beaten throughout the Super Rugby Pacific competition. I believe that's right up there in terms of one of the most in the comp. And, I mean, the Crusaders, let's just say they've got a little bit of a gem going to them next year. Definitely if he continues to play the way that he did for Moana Pacifica this year. Ooh, that would be a deadly combo. Could it be a few ABs midfield?
Could be. You never know.
And then number 13, another player who was outside of the top 4 teams, I will say. And number 13, I've gone Asefo Masi for the Fijian Drua.
He's the one I expect, by the way.
Yeah. I think he's been very good throughout the season, scoring a lot of tries early on. I believe he scored the most tries for any Fijian Drua player throughout a regular season, actually topping Vanaya Habosi, which with the form that man was in last year is quite hard to do.
That's impressive.
Yeah, having that offload game as well. I believe he's in the Fijian squad.
100%. There's not even a doubt. If he isn't, it would have been the most blatant disrespect ever, because he's been a sensational form for the Fijian Drua. So yeah, no, he's definitely in that for sure. Yeah, should be.
Yeah, pretty strong Pacific Island midfield that I've gone with.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, in terms of my one, again, this is where we have 2 different players, which is kind of weird to say. But again, I've kind of gone more, I guess, the All Black route in terms of what maybe could be considered maybe a second choice, maybe All Black center pairing, because I've gone with the likes of Antonina Brown at number 12, because he can play there. He played there in the final, and he's kind of switched in and out with Nenkovel or with Pohipi, whoever plays in that position. But then, for number 13, this is where I'm actually giving it towards Dallas McLeod, because I just think he's been great this year. And again, I would have loved to put Reiko as normal, but I think I can't ignore what Dallas McLeod has done this year, because in my opinion, he's probably been the most improved player you could say throughout this year. I think that's not. I'm trying to think of another. I mean, there's probably a lot of players you can put in that argument, but I think he's one of the ones I always think of the most. So I think that's the reason why I want to put him at number 13, because I just feel he has to be recognized for what he's done this year for the Crusaders. So and obviously getting the All Black Culp as well, which is just massive. So that's my center pairing there for this team this season. But we'll finish off here, of course, with the kind of the backs. So I'll shut off, of course. But this one, I think this is probably the easiest one out of everything, because I think these 3 just pick themselves. Unless you've gone with McKenzie, that's the only way I can see it where it's different. But I think these 3, I expect us to have the same. With Lesefana and Q, the number 11. I expect Mark Talea as the 14. and then I'd probably go Sean Stevenson as the number 15. I think that's the three you have to go with because they're the top try scorers, well, essentially the top try scorers in the competition. And I'm trying to figure, is there another player you could maybe get in? I mean, like you could say maybe Will Jordan, actually. Will Jordan is probably someone you could maybe mention as number 14, but I just haven't included him because he didn't play as much minutes throughout the whole season compared to Martelea. And I think that kind of, it's one of those where, again, I know I did say that playoffs too matter in terms of thinking compared to like the regular season, but because Will Jordan's been out for a lot of the regular season, I think that kind of makes way for Martelea. So that's the only reason why I've included him ahead of Will Jordan. But if Will Jordan played the whole season, then no doubt I would have probably gone with Will Jordan there. But yeah, what about you then? What have you gone with those three?
Yeah, I think Will Jordan, he is peaking at the right time, isn't he, in terms of getting back into that rugby championship.
It's crazy.
Ready to go. And Modi Marawa, maybe another guy you could have had as an option.
Completely
in that back three.
Of course. Yeah, he's probably ahead of Will Jordan actually for this year, actually, now that I think about it. So he's probably another one. But yeah, you're probably right with that. But so what have you chosen him? Like what are you going
No,
with?
I haven't. No, he's missed out. There's also a couple Brumbies boys that I feel like needed slightly honourable mentions as well. You know, like their back line was firing quite nicely. Corey Toole,
that is very true.
He's one who didn't get a huge amount of time, but made the most of it. Tom Wright as well. As much as he's a bit of a roughie at times, he's not too bad with the ball in hand.
Corey
so
Toole.
My back three, though, same as yours. Exact same.
Keep it simple. Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, I think it just had to be those three at the end of the day. I mean, they've just been incredible. And it would be great to see them three as like a starting back line for the All Blacks if they were the deal.
Well, Tim, they have to select Sean Stevenson first. And the only way he gets it is if Mark hurts himself. So they're going to wait till he's...
Is Martelea like actually injured? Because I haven't seen any reports saying he's going to be out for a while.
Calf injury. He was supposed to be out for about 3 weeks. And then they're going to reassess or something like that. So that was about a week ago. That was when the All Blacks were being announced.
Oh, okay. So he may miss like the first game of the Rugby Championship, but then he'll be okay for the rest of it, I think.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel bad for Sean Stevenson. But anyway, guys, let us know in the comments what you guys think about this team this season. Would you make any changes, obviously, towards what we've picked ourselves? But yeah, it's crazy. This is now officially the last video of Super Rugby for the Super Rugby season. Hope you guys obviously enjoyed all the live streams that we've done, in our respective channels. And obviously just the videos we've done in terms of collaborations, because, we love Super Rugby. And yeah, like we said, we did mention it within our live stream for the last one, but we are going to start a podcast in the near future. I think we'll probably start it like in the next week or two, with the Rugby Championship. I think it's in the next 10 days or something like that. I think it's crazy to think we're that soon to it. But yeah, it will be called the Rugby Recaps. That's what we've named the channel. Again, we'll let you guys know more information as it comes as we know more. But yeah, for the meantime, just hope you guys can obviously support that channel and what we do on that one. But yeah, just again, thank you obviously to Kiwi Lads coming on. I will put a link in the description, of course, for his channel. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Feel I'm in the